The chamber was built to impress fear before strength. It was enormous. Carved into the heart of an artificial moon, its walls layered with metals stolen from conquered worlds. Light bent strangely inside it, refracted by invisible energy fields that hummed like distant thunder. Every surface was designed to remind visitors of one thing: this place did not belong to them. Rows of alien delegates filled the elevated platforms, each species seated according to rank. Some were massive creatures wrapped in ceremonial armor. Others were thin, floating beings, surrounded by shifting lights and symbols that translated their thoughts into sound. All of them had come for the same reason: the strength demonstration. It was not officially called a trial. The confluence insisted it was a cultural exchange. In reality, it was a test that decided futures. Species that failed it lost trade rights, protection, and sometimes autonomy. Species that passed were allowed to exist on better terms. No one had ever truly questioned it. Until today, the last competitor stepped away from the testing field, 4 of its limbs trembling. The creature had been bred for combat, its muscles reinforced with artificial fibers and chemical enhancers. It had crushed the force pillar with an impressive display, earning polite approval from the higher ranks. Still, the machines recorded limits. Everything had limits. A ripple of anticipation moved through the chamber as the next name appeared on the central display: humanity. There was a pause, then quiet amusement. The representatives leaned forward, eager in the way predators became eager when presented with something unfamiliar and weak. Humans were new to the wider galaxy. Their homeworld was loud, unstable, and painfully average by confluence standards. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, constant weather disasters, primitive, some called it. The figure who walked onto the field did not help their opinion. Marcus Hale looked ordinary. He wore a simple dark uniform with no visible armor, no exoskeleton, no strength amplifiers. His posture was relaxed, almost casual, as if he had stepped into a waiting room instead of a chamber where legends were broken. He stopped at the center of the field and looked up at the towering machines. A translator drone hovered near him, glowing softly. "Human representative," the chamber announced, its voice layered with dozens of tones. "State your enhancement classification." Marcus shook his head once. None. There was a brief moment of silence, then laughter. Some of it was sharp and clicking. Some was low and rumbling. A few species expressed it by flashing colors that translated as disbelief. None of them noticed that Marcus did not react. The overseer continued. "You understand this demonstration measures strength, resistance, and capacity to endure force beyond biological norms." "Yes," Marcus said simply. "Do you wish to withdraw?" He thought about it for half a second. "No." The field activated. The first phase was visual intimidation. The air around the testing platform shimmered as gravity anchors locked into place. Marcus felt his weight double, then triple. The ground pressed up against his boots. His shoulders dipped slightly as his body adjusted. The sensors blinked. Observers watched carefully now. Most species collapsed at this stage if they lacked reinforcement. Marcus did not. His breathing changed, slower and deeper, as if he had expected this. The gravity increased again, 5 times standard. Muscles tightened under his uniform, his jaw clenched. Still, he stood. The overseers exchanged data streams, confused but unconcerned. Humans were known to tolerate harsh environments. This meant nothing. Yet. Phase 2 engaged. The force field pillar rose in front of Marcus, translucent and humming with controlled energy. It was not meant to be broken by raw muscle alone. It responded to pressure by increasing resistance, translating effort into pain and neural overload. The pillar waited. "Begin," the chamber said. Marcus stepped forward and placed his hand against the surface. Instantly, the field reacted. Pain lanced up his arm, sharp and electric, designed to overwhelm nerve clusters and force submission. It was a calculated agony, refined over centuries. Marcus inhaled through his nose. His fingers tightened. The sensors jumped. A few delegates leaned forward now, interest replacing amusement. The data showed stress responses, but not panic. His heart rate was elevated, but stable. Pain receptors were firing, but not escalating as expected. The system increased output. The field grew brighter. Species in the audience who had faced this phase before remembered it well. They remembered screaming. They remembered begging. They remembered collapsing while medical teams rushed in. Marcus said nothing. His arm trembled slightly. Sweat formed at his temples. His breathing remained steady, controlled. Inside his mind, he focused on something small. A rhythm. A count. Training drilled into him long before first contact with alien life. Long before he stood in this room, the pain did not disappear. He worked around it. The pillar's resistance climbed. The machine expected a breaking point. It always came. It did not come. Whispers spread through the chamber. "Is the system malfunctioning?" "No. The readings are accurate." "Then why has the subject not disengaged?" The overseer authorized a controlled escalation. The field responded instantly. Marcus's knees bent. His teeth clenched hard enough that his jaw ached. The pain was no longer localized. It spread through his nervous system, a flood meant to shut him down. He adjusted his stance. That small movement sent a shock through the observers. He was not fighting the field. He was adapting to it. The translators struggled to keep up as alien scientists began speaking over one another, comparing data, questioning assumptions. Humans were not supposed to do this. Their biology was inefficient, fragile, full of failure points. And yet... Marcus pressed his palm harder against the pillar. The sensors froze. For the first time in recorded history, the machine stopped increasing resistance, not because the subject had reached a limit, but because the system could not calculate the next response. Marcus exhaled slowly. From the outside, it looked like calm. From the inside, it was endurance stretched thin, balanced on discipline and stubborn refusal. He did not think about winning. He thought about staying upright, about finishing what he started. The chamber fell silent. No laughter, no commentary, only the hum of the machines and the quiet sound of a human breathing under impossible pressure. The overseer finally spoke again, its voice no longer neutral. "Human representative, your readings are irregular." Marcus did not look away from the pillar. Okay. The gravity shifted again. Some delegates looked away, unable to watch. Others stared, transfixed, as the field reached levels that had been marked unsafe even for the demonstration. Marcus's vision blurred at the edges. He blinked once. Did not flinch. The system alarms began to sound, low and uncertain. Something in the chamber had changed. Not the machines. Not the rules. The understanding. For the first time, the confluence realized they were not watching a test of strength. They were watching something else, entirely. And they did not yet have a name for it. The alarms were not loud. That was what unsettled the chamber the most. They were soft, controlled tones meant only for overseers and engineers. Warnings, not emergencies. The kind of sound that suggested something was wrong in a way the system had not been designed to explain. Marcus Hale still stood at the center of the field. The gravity pressed down on him like an invisible ocean. His arm was locked against the force pillar, muscles tight and shaking, veins standing out clearly under his skin. Sweat ran down his face and soaked into the collar of his uniform. Still, he did not step back. The force pillar pulsed, its light shifting in uneven waves. It had stopped behaving like a confident machine, and had begun acting like a thing unsure of itself. On the upper platforms, the alien delegates no longer sat comfortably. Many leaned forward, eyes fixed on the human. Others consulted data streams flashing rapidly before them, symbols overlapping as calculations were redone again and again. "This is beyond projected tolerance," one scientist transmitted. "Human pain response should have collapsed already," another replied. "The subject is not ignoring pain," came a quieter observation. "He is functioning through it." That distinction mattered. The overseer raised one elongated limb, signaling for silence. The chamber obeyed. "Human representative," the overseer said, its voice echoing across the field. "Your biological stress indicators are approaching failure thresholds. Disengage from the test." Marcus did not answer immediately. His breath came slower now, measured but heavy. Each inhale felt like pulling air through thick liquid. His vision wavered, but he kept his eyes forward, focused on the faint glow beneath his hand. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough but steady. "Is that a command?" he asked, "or a suggestion?" There was a pause. The overseer did not answer right away. The rules of the demonstration were clear, but no one had expected to reach this point with a human participant. The confluence prided itself on control, on knowing where every line was drawn. This human had stepped past one without asking. "It is a safety directive," the overseer said at last. Marcus nodded slightly. "Then I understand." He did not move his hand. The system reacted instantly. The force pillar surged, increasing output in a sharp spike, as if offended. The pain response escalated from constant pressure to something deeper, more invasive. It reached into his nerves, attempting to overload signals, to force his body into shutdown. Marcus's knees buckled. For a moment, several delegates believed it was over. Then he shifted his weight and straightened again. A low murmur spread across the chamber. Not laughter this time, but something closer to concern. Even species that respected endurance understood limits. This was no longer a test meant to measure capability. This was a confrontation between design and refusal. Inside Marcus's mind, time felt strange. He was aware of the pain, but it had become background noise, like wind or rain. What mattered was balance, breathing. Keeping his thoughts from narrowing too much. Panic was the real enemy. Panic burned energy he could not spare. He remembered his instructors back on Earth, voices calm and firm.
"Pain is information. You decide what to do with it."
The machine did not understand that. The force pillar adjusted again, trying a different approach. Instead of increasing raw intensity, it altered frequency, targeting neural pathways meant to induce disorientation and confusion. Marcus frowned slightly. The crowd noticed. The sensors registered a change in brain activity, unexpected patterns forming under stress. Instead of collapsing into chaos, his neural responses organized themselves, creating pathways around the interference. A scientist stared at the data in disbelief. "He is rerouting," they said. "Not consciously. His brain is adapting." "That is impossible," another replied. "It is happening." The overseer's composure cracked, just a little. "This demonstration is suspended," it announced. The gravity anchors did not disengage. The force pillar did not dim. Marcus felt the surge continue, relentless and uncaring. He looked up slowly. "Something's wrong," he said, not accusing, just stating a fact. The engineers scrambled. Commands were sent. Overrides activated. The system hesitated, then resisted. The machine had reached a state it was never meant to reach. It had found a subject that did not behave according to its assumptions, and now it did not know how to stop safely. The alarms changed tone. This time, the sound was unmistakable. Danger. Several delegates rose from their seats. Protective fields snapped into place around the upper platforms. Medical teams rushed to the edge of the chamber, their equipment glowing with readiness. Marcus felt the pressure climb again, not by design, but by error. His teeth clenched hard enough to hurt. His hand trembled violently now, muscles screaming in protest. Every instinct in his body told him to pull away. He did not. Not because he wanted to prove anything, but because pulling away too fast could tear muscles, rupture nerves, do damage that would follow him for the rest of his life. He needed the system to disengage properly. "Easy," he muttered under his breath, not sure who he was talking to. Himself, the machine, the universe. The overseer's voice cut through the chaos. "Human representative, disengage immediately." "This is an order." Marcus exhaled slowly. "I can't," he said. "Not like this." That sentence sent a chill through the chamber, not because of fear, because of realization. The machine was no longer testing him. He was surviving it. Engineers finally found a partial solution. Instead of shutting the pillar down, they began bleeding energy away gradually, forcing the system to calm itself without triggering a feedback surge. The pressure eased slightly. Marcus felt it instantly. His shoulders sagged a fraction. His breathing steadied, just a little. He held on. Second by second, the field weakened. The gravity anchors loosened. When the force pillar finally went dark, Marcus pulled his hand back slowly and stepped away. The moment the pressure vanished, his legs gave out. He dropped to one knee, one hand braced against the floor. His chest heaved as he dragged air into his lungs. His arm burned, nerves still firing wildly, but nothing was broken. Medical teams rushed forward. He lifted a hand weakly. "I'm okay," he said. "Just give me a second." They hesitated, then complied, hovering close. The chamber was silent again, not the expectant silence from before. This was different. This was the silence that followed something unexpected, something that forced people to rethink what they thought they understood. Marcus slowly pushed himself to his feet. He stood unsteadily at first, then found his balance. His uniform was soaked with sweat, his face pale, but his eyes were clear. He looked up at the overseer. "Is the test over?" he asked. The overseer took longer than usual to respond. "Yes," it said finally. "It is concluded." "And the result?" That question rippled through the chamber. Results were usually announced with pride or dismissal, victory or failure. This did not fit either category. The overseer glanced at the data feed scrolling endlessly beside it. The system recorded no maximum threshold reached by the human subject, it said. The demonstration terminated due to system instability. Marcus nodded. "Okay." That was all. He turned and walked off the field, supported lightly by one medic on each side, though he did not lean on them much. As he left the chamber, the delegates did not speak. They watched. They remembered. And somewhere deep within the vast structure of the confluence, a quiet understanding began to form. Strength was not what had frightened them. Pain was not what unsettled them. It was the idea that there existed a species that could be pushed beyond every calculated limit and still remain standing, still thinking, still choosing not to quit. The demonstration had been meant to measure power. Instead, it had revealed something far more dangerous, and humanity had only just begun to be understood. The medical bay was quiet in a way Marcus Hale did not like. It was too clean, too controlled, filled with soft lights and machines that watched without blinking. The air smelled sharp and sterile, nothing like Earth. He lay on a flat surface that adjusted itself to his body, warm and supportive, while scanners moved slowly above him. He stared at the ceiling and breathed. Every breath still hurt. Not sharp pain, not panic pain. This was deep and dull, the kind that lived inside muscles and bones after they had been pushed too far. His arm felt heavy, like it belonged to someone else. His legs tingled, nerves waking up and complaining all at once. He flexed his fingers. They moved. Good. A medical unit hovered closer, its surface glowing with symbols. Please remain still, it said gently. Your nervous system is stabilizing. I am still, Marcus replied. The unit paused, then adjusted its tone. Please remain more still. Marcus almost smiled, but his face was too tired for that. Behind a transparent barrier, several figures stood watching him. Not doctors. At least, not only doctors. Marcus recognized the posture of officials, observers, decision-makers. They were careful not to stare too openly, but he could feel their attention like weight. The strength demonstration had ended, but something else had begun. The confluence did not like unanswered questions. An elder delegate finally stepped forward, a tall being with a body that looked like layered stone and glowing veins of light running through it. Its movements were slow, deliberate, practiced over centuries. "Human Marcus Hale," it said, its voice translated into simple tones. "You are awake?" "I was awake the whole time," Marcus said. "Just lying down." That earned a flicker of reaction among the observers. Confusion, maybe discomfort. "You exceeded all expected parameters," the elder continued. The system was never meant to encounter resistance without collapse. Marcus turned his head slightly to look at it. "Yeah," he said. "I got that feeling." "Why did you not disengage when instructed?" The question hung in the air. Marcus thought about it. "I was told this test decided how you treat my species," he said. "I figured quitting early would send the wrong message." "That message being, that we break," Marcus said. "And we don't. Not easily." The elder studied him in silence. Its internal lights pulsed softly, a sign of thought. "You were in pain," it said.
Yes. You and your physical failure.
"Yes, and yet you continued." Marcus shrugged as much as the medical bed allowed. "That's not unusual where I'm from."
That answer disturbed them more than anything else he had said.
Later, when Marcus was allowed to rest alone, the confluence argued. Not loudly, not emotionally, but intensely. Data filled their private chambers, replaying recordings from the demonstration. Every spike, every hesitation, every moment Marcus had adjusted instead of surrendered. "This is not strength," one delegate insisted. "It is recklessness. Recklessness does not sustain neural function under overload," another replied. "They lack enhancements. Their biology is inefficient."
And yet, it adapted. A third voice entered the discussion, older and calmer.
"You are asking the wrong question." Silence followed. "The question is not how the human endured," the voice continued. "The question is how many others like him exist." That thought spread unease through the chamber. Meanwhile, Marcus slept. His dreams were strange but quiet, not nightmares. Just fragments. Training fields. Cold mornings. Long marches with sore feet and empty stomachs. People laughing around fires. Pain remembered, but not feared. When he woke again, his body felt better. Not good, but better. The medical unit informed him that he would recover fully. Humans healed faster than expected, it said, though it did not understand why. Marcus swung his legs off the bed and stood carefully. The floor steadied itself under him. Good enough, he muttered. He was escorted to a smaller chamber nearby, simple and undecorated. A table. Several seats. Soft light. An interrogation room, but polite. The elder delegate entered alone this time. Human Marcus Hale, it said. You are not under accusation. That's reassuring, Marcus replied. This conversation is for understanding, the elder continued. Your species claims no biological superiority, no enhanced warriors, no designed castes. That's true, Marcus said. We argue too much for that, and yet your performance suggests otherwise. Marcus leaned back in his chair. You keep saying performance. I wasn't performing. What were you doing then? Enduring, Marcus said. Same thing we've always done. The elder tilted its head slightly. Explain. Marcus took a breath. Humans didn't evolve on a kind world, he said. Our planet throws problems at us nonstop. Heat. Cold. Predators. Disease. Disasters. We don't adapt by becoming perfect. We adapt by getting stubborn. Stubbornness is not a measurable trait, the elder said. Marcus smiled faintly. Tell that to your machine. The elder did not smile back. Your nervous system did not shut down when overwhelmed, it said. Your mind remained functional. That contradicts most known biological models. Yeah, Marcus said. We don't shut down easily. Sometimes that's a problem. How so? We keep going when we shouldn't, Marcus said. People get hurt, burn out, break themselves trying to push through. Then why do it? Marcus's expression grew serious. Because sometimes stopping is worse. The elder absorbed that. After the meeting, Marcus was escorted back to his quarters. The halls felt different now. Eyes followed him. Whispers traveled faster than he walked. He was no longer just a representative. He was an example. News spread quickly through the confluence. Not official broadcasts, but shared data, private conversations, altered projections. Humanity's classification shifted quietly in internal systems. From minor participant to anomaly to risk variable. On Earth, diplomats waited anxiously for updates. They expected negotiations, trade adjustments, political pressure. They did not expect concern. When the confluence finally contacted them, the tone was cautious, respectful, almost careful. Marcus watched the transmission from a small monitor in his quarters. He sat on his bed, arm bandaged lightly, sipping water. Guess I made an impression, he said to no one. Later that cycle, the elder returned one final time. There will be no further demonstrations, it said. That's good, Marcus replied. I'm pretty tired. The confluence has decided to revise its evaluation protocols for humanity. Marcus raised an eyebrow. In what way? You will not be tested for strength again, the elder said. And you will be observed, it continued, from a distance. That made Marcus laugh softly. Yeah, he said, that sounds about right. As the elder left, Marcus lay back and stared at the ceiling again. He hadn't meant to scare anyone. He had only done what he always did when things got hard. He stayed, but somewhere far above him, in chambers filled with ancient minds and long memories, the galaxy adjusted its understanding of humans. Not as conquerors, not as weaklings, but as something far more unsettling, a species that did not know when to stop. And that realization had only just begun to spread. The change did not happen all at once. At first, it was small things. Marcus Hale noticed it in the way doors opened faster when he approached, in the way guards straightened instead of watching him with open curiosity, in the way conversations stopped just a second too late when he entered a room. He had become something the Confluence did not know how to categorize. That made them careful. A meeting was arranged 3 cycles after the demonstration. Not a tribunal, not a celebration. Just a discussion, they said. Marcus was escorted through corridors that curved gently upward, walls glowing with soft patterns meant to calm visitors. It wasn't working. The room he entered was large, but not intimidating. No towering machines. No test fields. Just a wide, circular table and seats arranged evenly around it. Equality, at least in appearance. Several delegates were already present. Some he recognized from the demonstration chamber. Others were new, their forms strange, even by alien standards. Floating shapes, crystalline bodies. A being that existed mostly as sound contained within a shimmering field. Marcus took his seat without ceremony. The elder delegate from before was there as well. It waited until everyone had settled before speaking. "Human Marcus Hale," it said, "your actions have created uncertainty." "That wasn't my goal," Marcus replied. "Intent is less important than outcome," the elder said. The Confluence was founded on predictable scales. Strength, intelligence, expansion capacity. Your species does not fit cleanly within these measures. Marcus leaned back slightly. "Welcome to the club," some of the delegates reacted. A flicker of light, a shift in color. One of them produced a sound that the translator flagged as mild amusement. "You endured a system designed to end participation," the elder continued. "Not through force, but through refusal to cease." "I don't think I refused," Marcus said. "I just didn't stop." The distinction mattered more than he realized. A different delegate spoke up, its voice sharp and quick. "Is this common among humans?" Marcus thought for a moment. "Common enough. How many could repeat your performance?" "Not everyone," Marcus said honestly, "but more than you'd be comfortable with." That answer settled heavily over the room. Another delegate projected an image into the air. Footage from Earth. Humans working in extreme environments. Frozen landscapes. Burning deserts. Crowded cities after disasters. "These individuals continue activity despite injury," the delegate said. "Despite exhaustion." "Yeah," Marcus said. "We call that a normal workday sometimes." "That is not humor," the delegate replied. Marcus shrugged. Still true. The discussion shifted after that. Less about what Marcus had done. More about what humans were capable of enduring when survival demanded it. "What concerns us," the elder said eventually, "is not that humans are strong. It is that they do not recognize surrender as a default response." Marcus frowned slightly. "We surrender when it makes sense." "And when does it make sense? When stopping keeps more people alive," Marcus said. That answer silenced the room again. The Confluence had long believed that fear of pain was a universal control, that all species, when pushed far enough, would submit. Systems were built on that belief. Economies. Alliances. Deterrence. Humans threatened that assumption without ever raising a weapon. After the meeting, Marcus was granted permission to walk freely within a limited section of the station. No escort, just a tracker for safety. It felt like trust. Or caution disguised as it. As he walked, he saw more reactions. Some aliens watched him openly now. Others avoided eye contact entirely. A few bowed slightly, a gesture of respect they rarely offered. Marcus felt uncomfortable with all of it. He hadn't come here to be impressive. He had volunteered because he thought it would help negotiations. Because someone had to stand there, and he was good at standing through discomfort. That was all. But the ripples continued. Reports came in from across the confluence. Analysts reviewed old encounters with humans, battles where humans had lost but refused to retreat, colonies that survived conditions marked uninhabitable, workers who continued repairs in lethal environments long enough for evacuation. Patterns emerged. Humans did not excel because they were superior. They excelled because they kept functioning after others would have stopped. That made them dangerous in a quiet way. On the 5th cycle after the demonstration, Marcus received an unexpected visitor. A junior delegate, smaller than most, with smooth metallic skin and eyes that reflected light like mirrors. It hesitated at the doorway. "May I enter?" it asked. "Sure," Marcus said. "Door's already open." The delegate stepped inside carefully. "I was assigned to study your test data," it said. "I do not understand it." Marcus gestured for it to sit. "You and everyone else," the delegate sat. "When the system escalated pain, your neural activity increased focus instead of distress." "Why?" Marcus rubbed his arm thoughtfully. "Because pain isn't the worst thing we deal with." The delegate tilted its head. "Explain. Pain is temporary," Marcus said. "Losing people isn't." "Failing them isn't. Sometimes you push through pain because the alternative costs more." The delegate processed that for a long moment. "You prioritize future consequence over present suffering," it said. "Most of the time," Marcus replied. "That is inefficient," the delegate said. "Yeah," Marcus agreed. "We're not built for efficiency." The delegate looked unsettled. That night, Marcus recorded a message back to Earth. Not the official report. Those were handled elsewhere. "Just a personal update. They're nervous," he said into the camera. Not angry. Nervous. "I think they realized something they weren't ready for." He paused. "Tell them I'm okay. Tell them I didn't break anything important." He stopped the recording. On the confluence side, decisions were being made. Quiet ones. Testing protocols were suspended indefinitely. Several species previously marked for demonstration were reclassified without trials. The strength demonstration, once a symbol of dominance, became a liability, all because one human had refused to flinch. The elder delegate met with others of its kind, ancient minds that remembered empires rising and falling. "Humans do not seek conquest," one said. "No," the elder replied, "but they survive it. Should we fear them?" The elder considered that. "No," it said. "We should understand them. And if we cannot, then," the elder said slowly, "we should ensure we never give them a reason to endure us." Marcus felt the shift before anyone explained it. The station felt less hostile, less like a proving ground, and more like a place deciding how to behave around something unpredictable. On the 7th cycle, he was summoned again. This time, the room was smaller. The elder stood alone. "The confluence has reached a conclusion," it said. Marcus crossed his arms carefully. "That sounds serious?" "It is," the elder replied. "Humanity will be granted full recognition without further trials." Marcus let out a slow breath. "Good. There is, however, an addendum." "Of course there is." The elder's internal lights dimmed slightly. "Your species will be classified as a persistence class civilization." Marcus blinked. "That sounds new." "It is," the elder said. "It means the confluence acknowledges that conventional deterrence may fail against humans, that you may continue functioning beyond acceptable loss thresholds." Marcus didn't like the sound of that. "That's not a compliment," he said. "No!" the elder agreed. It is a warning! To ourselves. Marcus stood slowly. If you're worried about humans, he said, then don't back us into corners. We don't do well there. The elder nodded. We have begun to understand that. As Marcus left the chamber, he felt a strange mix of relief and unease. He had done what he came to do. But the galaxy had learned something about humanity that could not be unlearned. And once that kind of understanding spread, it changed how everyone behaved. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not. The final consequences had yet to arrive. Marcus Hale thought the hardest part was over. He was wrong. The confluence did not react to humanity with fear or hostility. That would have been simple. Enemies were easy to understand. What came instead was caution mixed with distance, like a crowd stepping back from a fire they suddenly realized could spread. The station changed again, not in obvious ways. No alarms. No lockdowns. But security protocols shifted. Patrol routes widened. Observation systems focused more on human activity than on anyone else's. Marcus noticed the delay before doors unlocked now, the slight hesitation in automated voices, the way conversations around him were quieter, more careful. Humanity had not been declared dangerous. It had been declared unpredictable. That label carried weight. The final meeting was scheduled without ceremony. No public announcement. No audience. Just Marcus, the elder delegate, and 3 others whose presence alone marked the discussion as important. The room was simple, almost plain. No displays, no symbols of power. Just space and silence. The elder spoke first. The confluence has completed its internal review. Marcus nodded. That was fast. For us, the elder replied. It was urgent. One of the other delegates, tall and thin with translucent skin, spoke next. Your species has altered long-standing assumptions. Systems built over thousands of cycles must now be reconsidered. Marcus leaned forward slightly. We didn't mean to cause trouble. We know, the delegate said. The third delegate, a being that existed partly as shifting light, finally addressed him. We have studied your history in detail. Wars. Recoveries.
Disasters. Rebuilding.
Again and again. And, Marcus asked. And each time, the being continued, your species absorbed losses that would have ended others. Marcus did not look proud. If anything, he looked tired. That's not something we celebrate, he said. It's just something that happened. That, the elder said, is what concerns us most. Silence followed. Then the elder spoke again. The confluence will formally dissolve the strength demonstration. Marcus blinked. Completely? Yes, the elder said. It has become obsolete. Marcus exhaled slowly. Good. It will be replaced, the elder continued, with voluntary cultural exchange and cooperative assessments. That sounds less painful, Marcus said. It is also less certain, the elder replied. One of the delegates shifted uneasily. There are those among us who argue that humanity should be limited, contained, monitored closely. Marcus met its gaze. And there are others, it said, who believe that provoking a species capable of enduring collapse is unwise. Marcus let that sink in. You're afraid of what happens if humans decide they have nothing left to lose, he said. The room did not deny it. The elder inclined its head. Yes! Marcus stood slowly. Then let me be clear, he said. Humans don't want that either. We don't want to be pushed into survival mode. Because when that happens, we stop thinking about rules. We start thinking about getting through. That is precisely what unsettles us, the light being said. Then don't give us reasons, Marcus replied calmly. That was the moment the decision finalized. The confluence recognized humanity as a full equal, not because of military strength, not because of technology, but because deterrence did not work the same way on humans. Marcus was cleared to return home. The farewell was quiet. No speeches. No grand gestures. Just formal acknowledgments and carefully worded gratitude. As his transport pulled away from the station, Marcus watched the structure shrink in the distance. He felt relief, but also concern. The galaxy now knew something important. Once known, it could not be forgotten. Back on Earth, the response was mixed. Some celebrated. Others worried. Analysts debated what persistence-class civilization truly meant. Military planners updated doctrines, diplomats rewrote engagement strategies. And ordinary people just went on living. That was the most human part of all. Months passed. Humanity's interactions with other species changed. Negotiations were slower but more respectful. Threats were rare. Tests non-existent. When disputes arose, the confluence chose compromise more often than escalation. Not because humans were unbeatable, but because history showed they were hard to stop once fully committed. Marcus returned to a quiet life. He declined promotions, gave one interview, then refused the rest. He didn't want to be a symbol. But symbols had a way of existing without permission. One evening years later, a junior officer asked him about the demonstration. "Sir," she said, "were you scared?" Marcus thought about it. "Yes," he said honestly. "Very. Then how did you keep going?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Same way everyone does," he said. One breath at a time, far beyond Earth, the confluence archived the footage of the human who did not flinch. It was no longer used as a warning. It was used as a reminder that strength was not always visible, that pain was not always decisive, and that some species survived not because they were strongest, but because they refused to stop moving forward, even when everything told them to. In time, younger civilizations would ask why humans were treated differently, why no tests were imposed, why no threats were made. The elders would answer simply, "Because humans endure, and in a universe built on limits, that made all the difference." The story of the demonstration faded into legend, but the lesson remained. You could overpower a human. You could wound them. You could even defeat them. But breaking them was something else entirely. And the galaxy had learned, wisely and in time, that some lessons only needed to be learned once.